Get ready for the unknown. If you love feeling the chill down your spine and venturing into stories that will take your sleep away, subscribe to our channel now and activate the bell. Don't miss the next horror tales that will take you to the darkest corners of your mind. Are you ready to face your fears? Portal is open. Enter. As the group desperately tries to escape, they realize that the orphanage won't let them leave so easily. The doors close on their own, and the corridors seem to change position, disorientating them. Each of them begins to hallucinate, reliving the deepest fears of their own childhoods. The girl in white keeps appearing, always at a distance, holding her teddy bear. She's not there to scare, she's looking for help, but her presence is so terrifying that no one dares approach her. At the climax of the night, only one member of the group manages to reach the entrance to the orphanage. Gasping and terrified, he looks back one last time and sees all the trapped souls, including his friends, waving from inside the broken windows. The girl in white is in the center, looking at him with an empty, sad expression. He runs outside, vowing never to return, but the images recorded on his cameras show something he didn't realize at the time. In every shot, there is something behind him, a shadow that follows him. The survivor tries to warn others about what he has seen, but his words fall on deaf ears. The orphanage continues to attract the curious and unsuspecting, a magnet for unwary souls who believe they can face the secrets it holds. But no one escapes unscathed. Everyone who dares to walk through its doors is marked in some way, taking with them pieces of darkness that can never be purified. The girl in white is still waiting, forever trapped between her desire for freedom and the curse that condemned her, along with all the other lost souls. And so the cycle repeats itself. The orphanage feeds on fear, despair, and human curiosity. It is a place where time has stopped, a space that devours those who seek answers to questions that should never be asked. In the Valley of Silence, the orphanage is a constant reminder that there are places where the light never shines, and where secrets are protected not by locks, but by souls condemned to wander forever, haunted by the echoes of their tragedies. Months after the tragedy that led yet another group of explorers to disappear, the orphanage remains untouched, like an open wound in the city. The government decides to fence it off, officially banning all entry, but this only increases the interest of the curious. Among those attracted by the mystery is Sarah, a freelance journalist in search of a big story that will boost her career. She decides to investigate the orphanage's past, delving into old records and interviewing the older residents. Sarah discovers disturbing accounts from former staff and survivors that had never been made public. Among the stories, she finds a letter written by the director of the orphanage, dated days before the fire, which mentions children who never stop crying and shadows that dance on the walls at night. There are also mentions of Clara, the girl in white, and a teddy bear that she never let go of, even in her darkest hours. Sarah feels a chill run down her spine as she reads Clara's descriptions, as if the girl is looking directly at her. Determined to reveal the truth, Sarah decides to enter the orphanage at night, armed with a camera and a tape recorder. She doesn't believe in ghosts, but something about the place attracts her in a way she can't explain. As she walks through the dark corridors, the temperature drops and she feels a pressure in her chest, as if something is trying to suffocate her. The walls seem to pulsate, and the doors creak with a mournful sound. When she finds the old principal's office, Sarah feels a cold presence behind her. Turning around, she sees the little girl in white, with the burnt dress and the teddy bear hanging down, looking at her with empty eyes. Sarah's camera captures Clara's image, but when she reviews the images later, the girl's figure is distorted, as if she were moving between dimensions. The journalist realizes that Clara is trying to communicate, pointing to an old box under the table. Opening it, Sarah finds documents that reveal the true nature of the orphanage. Experiments conducted in secret, involving orphaned children who were subjected to strange and macabre rituals. The fire, it turns out, was set to cover up these atrocities. Sarah flees the orphanage, shaken by her discoveries, but when she tries to publish the story, she realizes that all her files have been corrupted. The photos and videos show only distorted, static images. Even so, Sarah decides to return to the site, desperate to get definitive proof that cannot be denied. The orphanage, however, has already marked her, and with each visit, she feels that part of her sanity is being sucked away by the place. She becomes obsessive, unable to sleep, seeing Clara everywhere, in the mirrors, in the shadows of her house, and even in the eyes of the children who pass her in the street. When Sarah disappears, her last recording is found in the orphanage, showing her in a state of increasing panic, surrounded by voices that only she could hear. At the end of the video, she looks directly into the camera and whispers, "I understand now. There's no way out." The footage ends abruptly with the sound of something breaking, and Sarah is never seen again. The orphanage, as always, swallows up another soul without a trace, feeding on her despair and her search for answers. With Sarah's disappearance, the orphanage is officially declared a place of extreme risk, and all access is sealed off with concrete blocks. However, the tragedy only seems to fuel the legends, and now there are rumors that Clara appears not only inside the orphanage, but also in the homes of nearby residents. Some say they see her in their dreams, holding her teddy bear and asking for help with sad eyes, while others report feeling small hands pulling at their blankets at night, accompanied by the sound of distant sobs. Among those affected is Lucas, a young man with a turbulent past who recently moved to the city. He is skeptical, but soon begins to experience unexplained phenomena in his home. Lights flash for no reason, and he wakes up in the middle of the night with the feeling that someone is watching him. Lucas tries to ignore the signs, but everything intensifies when he finds a teddy bear identical to Clara's in his living room, soiled with ashes. He throws it away, but the toy keeps reappearing, increasingly burnt and decomposed. Determined to confront his fears, Lucas returns to the orphanage, even though the entrances are sealed. He manages to scale a wall and force a window, entering the cursed place. Inside, it's as if time has stopped. He finds the basement, the same one where so many children have lost their lives, and senses that something is guiding him. Lucas discovers Clara's old diary, in which the girl describes, in childish handwriting, the torture she and other children suffered. The pages are stained with blood, and he realizes that he is reading the last words of a soul that has never had peace. As he reads, Lucas is surrounded by a dense, cold presence. He sees Clara, now more real than ever, looking at him with a pleading expression. She's not trying to scare him, she wants to be set free. But before he can react, the other souls of the orphanage manifest themselves. Burned children, corrupt staff, and the principal herself appear, creating a circle of despair around him. They don't want him to leave. They want one more companion for their eternity of suffering. Lucas tries to escape, but is pulled back into the basement. He is found days later in a catatonic state, muttering the same words over and over. She's still trapped. He never regains his sanity and is admitted to a psychiatric hospital, where he spends the rest of his days, lost in a mental loop that repeats the horrors he experienced in the orphanage. The city loses yet another to the shadows that inhabit that place, and the mystery of Clara continues to grow. The town now lives in the shadow of the orphanage, with more sightings and unexplained phenomena happening frequently. People report feeling Clara's presence in their homes, seeing doors opening by themselves, hearing light footsteps in empty corridors, and being woken up by a child's voice singing an old, melancholy song. A school is built a few kilometers from the orphanage, and the children start talking about an invisible friend who visits them during recess. A girl in a white dress who warns them not to go near the forest. The parents worry, but few really believe the stories, until a group of children disappear after deciding to explore the orphanage on their own. The town panics and search parties are sent out, but they find nothing but trails of footprints that lead directly to the basement of the orphanage and simply disappear. The children's parents hear, night after night, light knocks on the windows and muffled laughter, as if their children were there, on the other side of the glass, trying to get home. Despair grips the community, and a series of vigils are held in front of the orphanage. The residents beg for answers, but the place remains silent, as if laughing at their efforts. During one of the vigils, one of the mothers of the missing children has a vision. She sees Clara holding the teddy bear, accompanied by a group of children. Clara looks at her, and her empty eyes seem to reflect the pain of all the souls trapped in that place. The mother faints, and when she wakes up, she starts screaming that she saw her son holding Clara's hand, trapped among the dead. With no alternatives left, the residents decide that the orphanage must be destroyed. They believe that by demolishing the place, they will be able to end the curse. Demolition equipment is brought in, and the first raids begin. But as the walls fall, screams and cries echo from within the ruins. The workers hear voices calling their names, and some see children running among the rubble, disappearing into dense mists that come out of nowhere. No machine can make much progress without breaking down, and the terrain seems to reject any attempt at destruction. In a final act of desperation, the residents decide to burn the orphanage to the ground in the hope of purifying the place. They surround the building with gallons of gasoline and light the fire, watching the flames rise and engulf what remains of the decaying walls. The heat is intense, and the sky is filled with black smoke, as if hell itself had opened up over the city. But instead of the sounds of wood breaking and walls collapsing, what you hear are the screams of children, not cries of pain, but of despair and fear, echoing as if they were alive inside the flames. As the fire consumes the orphanage, a figure emerges from the flames. Clara, her dress now in embers, holding the burning teddy bear in her hands. She stares out at the crowd, and her face is a mixture of anger, pain, and something deeper, a hunger that will never be satisfied. Before anyone can react, Clara disappears into the smoke, leaving behind only the echo of her laughter and the smell of burning flesh. The next day, the grounds of the orphanage are found intact, as if nothing had happened. There is no sign of the fire, the flames, or any destruction. It was as if the ground itself had absorbed everything, protecting what was left of the condemned souls. The residents, terrified, begin to leave the city, unable to live in the shadow of something so evil. But Clara doesn't disappear. She starts appearing in other towns, always near schools, parks, and orphanages, always looking for company. The girl in white, eternally condemned to wander, carries with her the terror of a past that can never be forgotten. And the orphanage, even without its walls, continues to attract the curious, always ready to claim another soul for its endless cycle. In the end, the real horror lies not in the haunted walls of the orphanage, but in the certainty that some stories never end. They just change shape, waiting patiently for the next victim who dares to look where they shouldn't. Clara is there, waiting. Clara is there, waiting, and she will never be alone.